Good morning. I started watching the cricket this morning. It's 1 for 58. I think England leading in the second innings by about 100 runs. Pretty good chance that England is going to win this. Although, obviously, in Test match cricket, things can always turn around very quickly. But so wonderful to see. It instantly sparked me back into something. It's like a bookmark, like a placekeeper. I haven't been able to watch cricket. Not able, but I haven't really been interested in cricket for a long time. In a very intense business, obviously raising children, doing all these things. And there was just this sense of calmness as soon as I watched cricket. It's a different stadium. It's a very big stadium. It's a very expensive stadium, very controversial stadium at the moment. But to see the whole thing, especially in my newfound patriotism back to England, it's wonderful to see all those English flags flying once again in Perth, and both teams absolutely wonderful. I was fairly impressed with Stokes because I've got to reacquaint myself with all the players because most of them are new to me. That's kind of what happens as you get old. All the players are different. There's some type of sense when I was a kid that it's like, it'll always be Shane Warne and Matthew Hayden and Ricky Ponting and Glenn McGrath and Adam Gilchrist. It's like to see them, the old guard, still there. Justin Langer Stadium. Obviously, I don't know whether he's still the coach, but all of these things have this sense of, they bring this sense of calm, and then rather than just an unrelenting rivalry against the English, to appreciate their team, see their captain doing amazingly well with the ball, and obviously with the captaincy, and just a really, I feel like we've gone through this period of 2020 and one day, fast and furious, attempt to change the game to something more acceptable, more entertaining, only to have it really feels like the world has had enough of that type of thing, which is, I will say, it's American. It's Americanized. It is sales and marketing and promo and fucking, just everything's. I think I heard somewhere once that an American comedian will tell a subpar joke with all the enthusiasm he can muster, and an English comedian will just casually drop an absolute, beautifully brilliant joke with just like he's tossed away a tissue in the wind. And I think we're getting a snapshot of this. I think the whole world now, with the exposure to media, with the exposure into the world of politics, I think a lot of time for our our mothers and fathers and grandmothers and grandfathers, a lot of this bureaucracy, a lot of this administration was kind of just kept, and it was like out of politeness. That was polite. It's to do the right thing in governance is kind of boring and methodical. This is my main critique against identity politics, is it's too much on the identity and not enough on the politics, but we're stuck we're all kind of forced to walk that path now because of the Americans. You can see Donald Trump has captured the world's attention. You know, it's yet to be seen whether his capturing of the world's attention is going to convert into capturing the world's loyalties on a long enough timeline. But that's not a critique on the man. The man is playing the ball. He's playing he's playing the game well in the American style. But the American style is, I feel like, it's had its day. And I think especially when large players like Russia, like China, start coming into that, it's not our Americanism that is going to be respected. It is our Englishness. It is our calm, collected, like responsible, long vision, long term, modest administrations that are going to be respected. And so it's just a weird time. And maybe when you watch cricket, you just see cricket, but I find it's a brilliant metaphor for a lot of other things. And yeah, just wonderful, and quite wonderful just to be watching it. There's no one here. I'm by myself at home today, which is kind of how I like to be. And yeah, it's just like a homecoming. It feels like that. Like I'm like, oh, I watched my dad do this, and I get it. It's just nice. It's like a nice thing. Now, what the topic was about this morning was cost of living. And this ties directly into what I'm talking about to do with the identity politics and the Americanization of our entire, marketplace, capital markets, retail markets, housing markets, financial markets, everything. Is that it's noisy. It's noisy, it's brash, it's obnoxious, and it's reckless. It's short-sighted, and what has happened in my particular case, and in a lot of people's cases, I just have felt a responsibility because I have the ability to tap into that noisy, budgie archetype. And a lot of people in the conservative or that follow conservative kind of principles, just by kind of a stereotypical analysis, they don't usually participate in that. It's not the rule, but it is a bit of a stereotypical gathering that conservatively minded people, they don't want to throw their opinions around. They just want to get in, do their thing, and just stay out of the spotlight, do all these things. And this is where I'm going to claim, I feel, definitely here in Australia, and definitely in America, in the United States, and definitely in the UK, that the conservative parties of the world have really failed in combating this onslaught, which is the only way to describe it. It's an onslaught onto these individuals. It takes the position of a raucous street party. Say you're on a normal suburban street in Australia. I'm actually quite forgiving of parties and things like that. I always think I actually get a bit. I'm like, oh, good on them. It's good to have parties. And I've had girlfriends kind of complain, and I'm like, let them go. It's just one night. Who cares? Like, and my answer sometimes will be like, the kids are yelling all the time. The kids are playing. Like, they've got to deal with that. I can deal with the party one night. But if that party becomes every fucking night and it goes till 6 o'clock in the morning, you know what I mean? And people are fucking parking on your lawn and pissing on your lawn, or like littering, and there's cans on the street. There's everyone, even the most, ardent entertainer will get fucking sick of it. And this is actually a true telling of what's going on politically in the world. It's all party. And because they've just barged their way in, gate-crashed every single aspect of our world, they've stopped regulating their behaviour. They can't see it. They've filtered only the people that are like-minded into their environments. They've filtered out, anyone that's not like heading down the pathway that they're trying to force, to mandate, has been, had accusations thrown at them, has had, they've been ignored, they've been neglected, they're cherry picking around them a mob of partygoers, and this, and then have the gall to have, or to display the hypocrisy of trying to, broadcast, there's a teen party down the road where gate crashers came. It's like, yeah, there's a complete fucking party of gate crashers called the Australian Labor Party right now that gathers up, just, I don't even know, like a collection of just reckless, short-sighted panderers to this cohort that is drowning in confirmation bias that this is the norm. It's not the norm. You take someone like our most famous Prime Minister in recent years on the Conservative side, John Howard. Really, no one else, maybe Tony Abbott a little, not really though. There hasn't been a Conservative politician really make a mark since John Howard. And John Howard would have no chance in hell of being Prime Minister in this current environment. Yet we are living in John Howard's world. It's like John Howard's the father or something, and his alcoholic, drug-taking stepson has, I don't know, wandered in, and John's just sailing around the Mediterranean or something on a boat that he, responsibly and carefully saved up for, and he's got a small investment from a couple of properties or something, or a business or something like that, and he's going to get back. Obviously, he's still here, but in the metaphor, I'm saying he's going to get back, and the whole neighborhood is going to be after his blood because he's left his fucking, like I'm saying, like his drug-taking DJ fucking party boy. What was the guy's name with the fucking glasses? Son at the wheel. And obviously, we're talking about like different party. Like there's the left-leaning party of the Australian Labor Party, but it's all confused. It's like both parties have just wandered into this mindset. They're trying to compete with Donald Trump Disneyland and are missing the mark on every single thing. And I'd say the cost of living is the weapon of choice. It's the AK-47. The phrase cost of living is the AK-47 that just, it's like, that's the equivalent of the teenager coming out where the police have arrived for the third night in a row, and he's going, it's my friend's going away party, he's not anything. And I asked all the neighbours, and the police are like, no, you didn't ask all the neighbours. The neighbours have complained. Your friend isn't going away. Stop bullshitting me. The party's got to stop. There's no more fucking excuses. The cost of living is relative. And it's never been more relative. When I grew up, the height of luxury in this country, whether you were, a single mother or whether you were, a businessman doing well, and obviously this is a bit of exaggeration, was a Vienna ice cream. You know, something that's literally, now that we can understand all the manufacturing process, it's like, it's literally kind of 3D printed in a plastic tray, and it's just a collection of ingredients that have been commoditized so much that it doesn't cost anything, and it's mass distributed in trucks and freezer chains and supermarkets, and it's nothing. And this has been reflected. The Vienna ice cream is now not the height of luxury in this country. It's almost like considered crass. So what? But the debt load of the country has never been higher on young people. They have more debt, more on more things. They've got massive car debt, massive household debt, massive mortgage debt, and massive debt culturally to keep up with the Joneses. This is the biggest area that I'm talking. This is the only place that there is a cost of living crisis, and I wouldn't call it a crisis. I've never had a crisis that I can't go to a party. You know what I mean? And I'm not going to sit here and be called like a fucking, what would be labeled like or you're just boring, or you're just you don't want to have any fun, or you don't want to do this shit. It's like, no, parties are fun, but I'm never going to offer sympathy to someone who can't go to a fucking party. I don't fucking care. I do not give a shit. When there's kids overdosing in the fucking streets, when there's fucking children dying in our prison system, there's all these things. I don't fucking care, especially considering a lot of these children are entering our prison system or our judicial system from their activity in parties. You know, drinking and drugs and all this shit. This is the only cost of living. It's not the cost of living. It's the cost of partying crisis from the Australian Labor Party. That's all that there is. It's the baseline fundamentals of living in this country and having a responsible life, and, you know, responsibly stewarding your family or yourself into a responsible, you know, a position you can hold, has never been easier, albeit by the attacks from the party goers in the Australian Labor Party and the kind of absentee, you know, citizens that are just going along with it. The only thing that stopped me responsibly, you know, stewarding my finances or my family or my business or my children in this country and in this state is the direct attacks from this cohort, like hideous attacks. If I now gathered up the conservative people of the UK, Australia, and the United States, and we participated in, I'd say, 10% of what has been thrown directly at me, you would call it World War III. If I participated in financial, reputational, and physical, you know, property sabotage and destruction, and then just, you know, shut the door behind you, you'd call it feudalism. You'd call it a return to serfdom. If we built walls around, you know, responsible conservative communities and defended those walls with machine guns, you'd call it totalitarianism, tyrannism. So what is the difference when it's on the other side? It's just a dilution of responsibility. That's all it is. If everyone's going to the party, and this has been seen, go ask the police. You get to a party and there's, say, I don't know, 10 people being really hostile, and that's it. They're just kind of whatever. You have to shut that down. You get to that party and there's, you know, 1,000 teenagers. It's a different situation. It might only be 10 teenagers in that party that are, you know, keeping it going and keeping it being antisocial. But those 10 individuals at that party will keep the 1,000 individuals in a state of disorder, and a dangerous state of disorder. And this is the country. This is the world, really. And this is the danger of a catchphrase like cost of living crisis that keeps getting rolled out. It's not a cost of living crisis. I can go to any of these wholesale warehouses and buy a bag of rice that would feed an entire family for a fucking year, and that might cost me $50. What? The land prices in this country, now that's a bit of a separate thing. I'm going to get to that in a minute. They're not in alignment to the actual situation, the geographical situation. There is a speculative bubble going on. And this is like, I don't actually mind. If there was just a metropolitan speculative bubble going on in this country, I would not fucking care. You know what I mean? This is real estate. If there was, individual, like this is suburbs have hot times, and there's, suburbs that are going well and going bad. These things are fine. This is part of a healthy economy and a healthy real estate market and things like that. That's fine. I don't care. When it projects all the way to the whole country, there's nowhere to develop conservatively. There's nowhere to take to value add. And this is massively, offensive to me as a kind of very coming from original pioneering families in this country, because this was what Australia was built on. It was built on value adding land with a value of zero. The land was zero. That's why it was given to convicts. But the descendants of those convicts are only lured in to squander what was gifted, basically. And that's the thing. It's like, well, can you really blame the whole situation if these were criminals and then they were gifted property and they never had to purchase it, and then there's 3 generations of increasing promotion on frivolous activity, then yeah, that's exactly what you'd expect. But then why is the property still playing this game? Why are these families? And this is the problem. These families aren't all bad. I'm defending the families that are acting conservatively because they've been attacked by the system. The families that are acting irresponsibly and have joined the party are being swindled, but they're drunk and high and just listening to fucking DJs and festivals and shit like that. They're just flittering away. But what is happening to the land? I'm just going to read, because this person's done a lot of comments, so I'm going to take a bit of time to do this right now. Start investing in the tail end of COVID. And hi, how you going? EJJKT. I started investing in the tail end of COVID. Dividend investing made my life for the better. You can earn monthly dividends. Currency manipulation is nothing new. We had actual silver, and now most coins are made of less. Yep, we're heading universal income, and of course, it's not free at the cost of your freedom. World Economics Forum is heading that direction. The US is about 38 trillion in debt. Canada have debt. Thank you for all that information. Yeah, I agree with a lot of it. It's just some weird things. Universal basic income is going to, I'd say, almost be a definite. But the market, I'm mainly concerned with large-scale agricultural property or degraded, like especially regional property. Just mine. It's just what I'm interested in because I want to. And this is the crazy thing is I want to develop regenerative and sustainable strategies, and I need in order to do that, like. It shouldn't be a charity. It's like I want to value add, but that is it is all bad news. It's like, why would anyone do that? The land is ridiculously overpriced. The land is ridiculously degraded. The only current products you're going to receive from it have been massively over commoditized. So you're playing in a game that has very little opportunity for value adding. It's all negative. They should be paying people to take this land, not the other way around. And this is where it's like, if there is a 24/7, 365 days a year party, festival, drug-taking, alcohol-fueled fucking debt, credit card fucking, Backstreet Boy, Britney Spears fucking party going on, why isn't that subsidizing the regeneration of the land through responsible people that want to conservatively invest in it to add value, but that they're taking all the risk, they're putting in all the capital, all the research, all the develop, they've got to fight the uphill battle of getting people that perhaps are very soon going to be on a universal basic income to want to go and do work. They've got to produce promotional content to encourage people to do this. It's all kind of things that you'd think a government was doing, but the government is just continuously putting up fairy lights and fucking basically trying to get. We've got enough people here. 52,000 people at Perth Stadium. I'm going to call it Perth Stadium. Fuck that other company. 52,000, majority look like a lot of Englishmen that have come here. They've offloaded their arbitrage nest egg from the homeland and have brought it here and have, bought their suite in Kerry Stokes' fucking cruise ship. And that's all fine, but I want to build a fucking fence around them. And I want to defend it with machine guns so that their financial experimentation in into the speculative, conceptual, creation of digital gobbledygook. I need there to be a boundary so that we can continue to run Western Australia like a state, like a pioneering state, which is actually what it is. I don't have a problem with cruise ships parked at our port or people acting, in this way, and they've earned their money. This is right. They've done what they're told. You know what I mean? This is all fine, but I just need an explanation as to why the whole state is being governed in this way. And I just won't accept it. To put it plainly, I will not accept it. There needs to be boundaries drawn around Perth. And Perth needs to become a state, and Western Australia needs to be liberated from this ridiculousness. Perth is a wonderful place. It's a beautiful place. It's a great climate, great beaches. All these things I would not, I would encourage anyone who wants to move down to somewhere, hotter climate and, the Australian way of life, all these things are celebrated here. That's okay. I don't mind, as long as it's not affecting the greater region. And that greater region is connected to all the greater regions that stem from all the capital cities. And this is the end, I believe, of the period of the capital city-centric Australia. And this isn't bad news. It's not bad news for the capital cities. It's not bad news for the country. It's not bad news for the states if it is responsibly done. The fact that we've gone 125 years with these, 5, 6, whatever capital cities and kind of, this huge unpopulated mass of land is quite a testament to the responsible planning and preparation that the original conceivers of this land have done. But we need to start looking at it differently. I have no problem with tourism, all these things into all the. It's like it just needs to work properly for the majority of Australia to be developed appropriately. It needs to be disconnected from the capital cities, and I'm trying to find an avenue to do that. And I think that this is already the way that basically these states are governing anyway. Because if you're population centric, And I'm okay with that as well. I'm okay to have an enlarging population confined to urban areas. I'd like the intensity of those urban areas to be appropriately stepped up and appropriately developed, especially here in Western Australia or in Perth. And then things like boundaries and tolls and things like that to enter the regional areas. It's the problem is we're governing on a British example, which was absolutely wonderful and fine. Look at Britain. Look at Great Britain. You look at it, and it's there's train lines everywhere. It's broken up into counties, and which used to be kingdoms if you go far enough back. And the size of those regions was limited to travel at the time, which was horses and horse and cart and foot and canals and things like that. But this all good. Okay, yeah, cool. Well, we've got the first region. Perth is a region now. Now the state needs to be governed differently. It's just we can only use the tools that we had, and we can only use the experience that we had and the examples that we had. And basically, if you want to know the absolute truth, is we bit off more than we can chew. Okay. But it's time to fix it. The majority of our land base in this country is being degraded, is being polluted, is being poisoned to continue a party that really has no connection to the commodity-based output of the mass regional areas. So in other words, it's like we're digging up iron ore and selling it off and then buying it back for more. We're producing, mass monocultural grains and fibers, selling them into a global market that then are value added by our enemies to lure us into a Epicurean fucking disaster. And I'm sick of it. I'm not subsidizing. There's a lot of coming from an environmental background, from a sustainable background. There's so much, especially in America, about the subsidization of monocultural grain output, specifically corn, to include like in high fructose corn syrup and things like that. Where it's like this, the farmers are getting paid. It's not profitable to actually grow corn, but it's just a necessary input for this industrial chain that is value adding and more than likely poisoning its population. But it's just anything to keep that top tier, socially obsessed, leisure obsessed, party goer like glut that by its just whatever wandering irresponsible actions like do drip feed the government filled coffers full of tax. Majority of them in this country now, GST, make up a pretty substantial amount of tax. And this is what I say when I'm saying that we're living in John Howard's house. Okay, it worked, John, but where do we go from here? Where is the exits? But based on this same activity, we've built amazing tools like AI. But I read this morning in the Australian that this is, AI is just going to create these massive legal cases, which I'm, I guess, kind of participating in myself, but majoritively not using AI. I think the next century will be hallmarked by the young people of this country investigating the atrocities, the shortcomings and the neglect and abuse all over the place and fronting it up to courts. Why wouldn't you? Exposing the blind spots and the shortcomings of our judiciary. And this isn't to blame those people. Again, they've learned from their forebears. They've done the thing. They're just blind spots. They're not seen. We can only see down the trajectory that we've come from. But we've just all been given a pair of really powerful binoculars. And we're going to all start seeing a lot more. And we need to know how to divide economic zones up and incentivize responsible development and value adding of our real estate holdings in the country. And this is like, this is what's coming, like with artificial intelligence, with things like robotics, with all this, we will be able to upscale. Like, if you've heard of the Green Revolution, which is when we basically shrunk down wheat to avoid the arable land catastrophe that was coming in the 70s. This includes like artificial fertilizer. Okay, but now we've got a bunch of problems from artificial fertilizer and from the GMO crops and all these things. But the artificial intelligence and the robotics will kind of more than likely save us from that, and will increase the output of agricultural land. But we need to take the hit somewhere. So it's all well and good to have these urban zones, these universities, all these tech people learning all these skills, all these things. That's fine. But who is going to hold the resources in this paradigm becomes a bit skewed. It's because it's investment into it, and there's no, the incentive structures are all wrong. Like we've been in a paradigm of mass production, of commoditization, and this is not appropriate for this stage of civilization. We should be changing or leaning into more elite type examples rather than this monoculture like societal design. And in Perth, there is nowhere. It's like, where I don't want to live anywhere. It's like, it's all well and good, Kerry Stokes. Okay, you've managed to get an English flag that says Stokes City. I know that's the English bowler, but I'm sure that Kerry was quite happy to have an English flag that says Stokes City, on every shot that Channel 7 is projecting around the world. Okay, Stokes City, mate. I know you've done your backhanders and done all this work to get your little Mounts Bay fucking palace up there, and that's all fine. It's all well and good. You've sat there and watched the historic trees on that same embankment, be falsely poisoned and falsely fucking cut down and falsely destroyed and removed. And you've got your little palace in Mounts Bay, but I don't fucking care. We need more than one, cunt. This is the fucking problem. It did, like, a rising tide lifts all ships, but a fucking blockage in the flow fucking causes a fucking drought. The whole river runs dry, and this is what's happened. There's two fucking oligarchs here. There's two fucking blokes with a couple of bill to throw around. And they're blocking and restricting the entire fucking state. This short-sighted fucking, heretical thing. It's like, it's all good. It's fine. I understand it. You've done very well for yourselves. I'm not going to say that you haven't, but it's like, if you block the next generation, you lose everything. Yeah, your family might be able to dodge back to somewhere else or do something else, but it's like, this is all just a joke. This place is fucking huge. You got an English flag flying as the fucking Poms, or as the English take on the Australians, at Optus Stadium. Okay, righto. Yep, it says Stokes City. Right, Stokes City? Yeah, we'll draw a fucking line around it. The same with Twiggy. It's like, this doesn't work. Something's got to crash. I can't sit here any longer and watch as thousands and thousands and thousands of fucking acres go into fucking disrepair while being priced to the fucking moon, while the fucking grandchildren sit and do lines of fucking cocaine and fucking ketamine in the clubs in fucking Northbridge or wherever it is, while the Chinese and the Russians and the whatever, the Japanese or whoever it is, just sit there and lick their lips and wait for the inevitable crash. You know, the industrial development that should be going on, the industrial like evolution, new techniques and new strategies, just being like held down. Because why would you do it? This is a continent-sized state being held in the mindset of a one newspaper town, and it's fucking retarded. And our enemies know it's retarded. You know, we on one hand claim to be looking after the traditional owners, but then we're allowing them to be fucking bound and chained up by speculative, ridiculous fucking tech CEOs. Like, what's his name? Cannon Brooks from Atlassian, who's just fucking how much land has he just got held up and locked up in a fucking contract for a fucking bullshit Singapore fucking cable deal using Chinese solar panels? Out of all the seagoing empires, the British Empire was clearly the best. I'd say we're the most responsible, the most long-term vision, the most, you know, the best at holding on to things. The atrocities and the missteps we've done are also humongous. But it's like we need to wake up to ourselves and realize the opportunities we have in front of us, the tools that we have in front of us, the resources we have in front of us. And we need to realize that because of this communist, socialist, you know, obsession with leisure and excess, we're basically herding our young people off a fucking cliff. Very much like we did to the Aboriginal people. And it gets very hard for me to kind of not point the finger and label these people as treasonous, as fucking genocidal, fucking self-centered, self-obsessed, fucking whatever lunatics. Now, the problem is if we take Britain, Great Britain, or take England, just take fucking England. It's like, look how many names and castles and cathedrals and whatever are dotted, and how short and small the distances are in between. You may think it's Stoke City, but you're misunderstanding, you know, the dynamics at play. I thought you were a fucking real estate bloke. You look at Manhattan, right? You've got a Muslim mayor now in the White House with the unstoppable Donald Trump, that are both stemming from the most highly value-added region on earth that was bought for a fucking handful of fucking beads or some whiskey. I don't know what it was bought for, but it's like we are in the exact opposite position. And the only thing that we have in our favor is the British Empire. And this is where you're at the fucking gate, and I'm saying, well, I don't think you're allowed in. I see treason. You may have an English flag with Stoke City and whatever, but it's like, what? If you don't learn how to fucking isolate economically your region and actually turn it into fucking Stoke City, and unburden the rest of the state and the rest of the country by its example, then you're going to lose the whole fucking thing. You're going to lose the entire fucking thing. And even if I've got to fucking paddle a canoe back to England, I'll make sure that Kerry Stokes and his fucking descendants never set foot on that fucking island. And they fucking remain here on this fucking rock, enslaved by the fucking Chinese, whatever, monstrosity, digital monstrosity that they've allowed to fucking be projected onto this mass continent. It's just it's a misunderstanding. If you're London city obsessed, bank financial city obsessed, and you miss the feudal period and the religious, estates and if you don't understand this whole thing, then you miss it. You miss everything. It's that conflict that made us powerful, that made us strong. And this is why I use the language. It's like, get your fucking city the fuck out of the fucking business of the fucking rest of the country with the most aggressive fucking threatening words that I can fucking muster, and we will all be better for it, and we will all be more secure and stable and powerful because of it. You insist on fucking childish fucking activities like, you like this flag with your name on it at a cricket game in the fucking city while the rest of the fucking city bakes in the fucking sun. And we get nowhere. And this politically correct, like non-violent fucking whatever, that's being projected on us by our enemies because they understand that if we're not able to participate in domestic violence, not with our spouses, but with our peers in our countries, in our states, then we are not going to be prepared to take on international enemies. We've seen around the world these tractor protests and things like that where they spray manure on things. It's like, I want to up the ante there a bit. Close these regions down. That fucking stadium is sitting on a rubbish tip. So you've got Stoke City. It's like, yeah, okay, Stoke City's on a rubbish tip and an asbestos fucking factory. Yeah, that sounds right. That sounds perfect. That sounds exactly. That's what I'll write in the newspaper as I fucking send it into the fucking City of London. I say, oh, you might have bet on this Stokes character with his West Australian and his West Track fucking his West Stokes fucking city. But his fucking Coliseum sits on the fucking rubbish tip fucking asbestos fucking factory that used to be a golf course. And just like that bridge that goes over the Swan River there that chokes the fucking Black Swan's neck, Kerry Stokes and his retarded fucking cohort of, diesel mechanics and fucking journalists is choking the entire state and in turn the entire fucking country from appropriately developing. See, the conflict between the regional areas and the city is basically the entire history of England. The reason England was so hyper-focused and concentrated and small, the reason, London is such was the largest city in the world, the most concentrated city in the world, is because if you were a fucking city dweller and you stepped outside of that, you would get fucking your head chopped off. And I think we need to bring a little bit of that down to the southern hemisphere. And we'll all be the better for it. I've had my fair share of scrapes and blows and things like that by wandering into the city. I will contribute. I'll come down there and sing some songs. I'll do whatever. When the city stays in the city and the fucking country stays in the country, everything works. And the more we push you in, the more you will prosper. And New York City and Manhattan is the greatest example of this. It's not a coincidence that Donald Trump, the king of New York City, sitting there alongside with his, his fall guy, the Muslim fucking Lord Mayor, as he interviews a prince from wherever. It's all there. We can see it all. All right, Don, great. Awesome, amazing. But we're the opposite. We want to push Perth in, defend the greater region, and then by pushing Perth in, then Perth can become Perth. And that's not going to happen with a fucking racetrack in the city. I've already put forth the suggestion. We don't make a racetrack in the city. Okay, that's what the fucking Saudis want, and that's what they do. We've all seen it with Formula One. All right, great. We build a giant racetrack. We make a new type of racing that fucking is only possible in this state because it's huge. That's it. That's all we have to do. For Western Australia to thrive, there needs to be a small, condensed city, and then we need to thrive in our large, unpopulated, and we need to figure out and squeeze every potential out of the massive, massive, massive region that we have here. And we need to figure out how that's going to happen, how we're going to do that. And I'm sick of the fucking avoid. It's like, mark my words, it's like, if all of this goes down, it's like, and I have this, I'm going to, this is going to look bad. I'll remind you all, this is all done voluntarily, that I'm a weird, anomalous fucking emergent